Hello and welcome to About the Albums. This time we're talking about the album Do You Remember Your Children? Originally released in March of 2013. And this is the one where I know in the last one on How I Lost My Lung, on that album I kind of experimented a little bit with layering voices. Here's where I really started to, and what I did for most of these songs to do that was I would have all the music, recorded on the different preset, whatever, like, you could record up to like 6 tracks of stuff on here to play back for you, then I would have that playback and sing on it, and what I would do is I would do a playback on one, and then I would just do a playback again for a second recording, and I would sing over that one too, and so I would have multiple voices that way. That's how we get 2 voices. And sometimes I would leave the volume up, I think, and sometimes I think I tried turning the volume down some so that I could, reduce the amount of like echoey delay kind of sound on the instruments and everything too. But I didn't have it down precisely because then I would just go into Movie Maker, and essentially in Windows Movie Maker I would just put one as the video track, one as the audio track. If there was more than 2, then I would just be like doing those and saving things together like that, and then trying to layer each one to get them as close as I could. So it's not like it's the most amazing process of doing it, but that's how I've done it for ever. So that's the kind of quality you're going to be you can expect here. You're going to be hearing on the album. And also, I think I kind of had a tendency to lean towards a certain tones on this one of like kind of like more synthy tones, and synth like this cool like lead guitar, like synth kind of guitar thing, and I just kind of hovered around some of the same instruments and sounds. So it definitely has its own kind of feel throughout most of the songs because of the way I did it and the tones I used. Kind of reminds me of something like, I don't know, like kind of like 80s-ish. Like you're listening to like a weird, like a not so great quality cassette of something from the 80s maybe. So look forward to that. And I don't know, the title is really actually based on a song, so we'll get there when we get to the song and you hear a bit more about that, but it's just based on that. Remember Your Children is that song I said we would get to. I guess for somehow I forgot it was the first one on the album. But I guess I don't know exactly why I called the album Do You Remember Your Children and then this song Remember Your Children. I think the only reason I could really think of is that I wouldn't have to put the question mark in it for the song title because it doesn't like you to put that on Windows. So maybe that was it. Interesting about the lyrics of this was something that kind of came into my head one night, and I kind of knew like the way I wanted it to go, like with the way the singing would go for that part, for the chorus. And so I just like recorded that into my camera that night because it was in my head, and I didn't want to lose it. And I think at one point I did upload that like acapella thing, and I think I maybe used it somewhere else. I don't know, but I recorded that just so I had it, and like I and then I later like turned that into the song with it. Like that was cool. It was one of the few times I actually had like an idea. I'm like, I'm gonna like try to partially do this so I don't have it forgotten and lost, and then came back and actually did something with it, and it came out pretty good. Obviously, it's not like lined up perfectly with like trying to overlap those because I didn't really know the way to do it yet. And it's really tough to finesse it, but I'd say I wasn't doing well with that, and it was first attempts of really trying to do this, so like I didn't get it perfect on a lot of them, but some are closer than others, and I came out with a neat effect with this anyways. It was a nice effect. I tried to say neat and nice at the same time. It was a nice effect. It's like your niece. It sounds like your niece. No, and the idea is just like the song is about like not having enough money to like have like all these groceries and like have food and everything and like keep your life going the way you want to, like you're supposed to, like society says you should. So you end up eating your children for food, and then like you have to live with the fact that you did that, and you're still trying to make everything else seem normal outside of that, which is like a really fucked up idea. And probably they would get caught at some point. Authorities would realize, well, we haven't seen your kids in a while. Like where are they? What's going on? Like I don't know. It wasn't even like, and I wanted, I'd love to hide behind the, well, it's like a symbolic thing. It's like the horrible things we're willing to like do, and then we hide and nobody knows because we act like normal part of society, functioning part of society. No, it's not none of that. It's just that it was a weird idea that I had. That it was really dark, and I liked that, which is weird for a happy song, but it's a fun way to start the album. A song that sounds happy and is about something pretty morbid. That sounds like the beginning of a good time.
Got to take the mission. Got to take the mission. Got to take the mission. Got to take the mission.
Mission, not to be confused with The Mission from Generation, is a song about basically like a briefing, where you're kind of just being forced to, like, you're being told, like, these, the mission briefing is telling you secrets and information and giving you access to things, where it's like, basically, you have to take this mission, otherwise, you're going to be terminated. We can't let you know these things. If you're not going to take the mission, you might put it in jeopardy. So, that was kind of the thought process behind the sound. Actually, this one lined up pretty good. It was pretty close. And actually the slight offness of the two tracks actually made for a kind of a cool sound to it. Also, you can tell, like, when I went an octave higher when singing it, that it on each track I did it like a different way. I don't know if I intended to do that or not. So I don't know if that was intentional, like, oh, that sounds kind of neat, or if it just, like, I accidentally did them both a different way, so it sounded weird. But I do think the main thing of me doing the same voice kind of thing over that, I did it pretty well for both tracks. It sounds pretty much the same, and so I think it came out well with that. I sound alright with myself when I sing it in the lower ranges. It's just when I get up higher that, like, things turn into a disaster for everyone and everything and everywhere.
I am not crazy and I'm not insane. I can't describe it and I can't explain. The gift he gave me really blows my mind. He gave the power of running in time.
And speaking of run in time, of Generation, well, I fucked up my intro. I was going to say from the joke of awkwardly, from the beginning of the last one. But now it doesn't work because I just gave away what the song title is rather than saying... Anyways, so, yeah, this one actually I originally had on Generation. I had a MTV Music Generator made song, and I really liked that, and I tried to replicate that on the keyboard. And that was on Generation, but I got rid of it because of putting other songs on there and trying to make everything fit for CD length. And again, this one exists, it has this, so I slightly altered the track list for that. And this is the reason why. And it's about just a mysterious man, like, finding him, and he gives you the power to travel through time. And you just get to go around all these different time periods and exploring time and having, all kinds of adventures and getting insight and everything from being able to travel through time. But then wanting to thank this mysterious figure, you're not able to find him no matter what time period you go, what place you go. It seems like you just can't find him anymore to thank him. And a lot of voices in it. I think the effect is on one or two of the voices in there, and like I think that makes my voice sound pretty neat. I think that was probably a good choice. The high voice in here is a bit too high. It's obviously a bit out of my range. I'm very strained trying to hit those notes. And I can't move around with those notes much. But and some of the audio quality I think suffers a bit too. A little bit of the audio is kind of like comes in and out at weird, like it's a weird balance on it. But overall, still it's a neat song. It's got a nice hop to it. And, listening to it again right now, I mean, it wasn't as bad as I remembered, so that's always good to hear. that, I'm like, I used to not like the song as much. Now I like it like 10% more. What more can you ask for? Well, 11 to 100% more, I guess. That would technically be more. Best drugs I ever had is a song where I lie about having really good drugs and offering to share them with someone. I've never really had drugs, or at least not the fun kind of drugs. I mean, like, you're like, oh, fucking Tylenol, ibuprofen, caffeine, but none of the fun stuff. Never really had a whole lot of interest either. So I just thought it was funny that I would write a, write a song about having drugs. I guess I had the Drug Trip album thing that I did, and there's some songs from that we already heard because of the order of things, but yeah, this was a weird one. I just wanted to make it sound kind of like with the tones and everything, it made it sound like trippy, was the idea. And I had the effect on my voice. And I don't know, I do like how um, it's the way it goes, and it's not a super like set in stone like way I'm singing it, a lot of it, or super set in stone the way the notes are. And so I kind of like how it sort of changes up to like certain parts of it have a kind of like different like structure in what they're like the way I'm singing them, and I like that. In the middle part too, I'm just like making goofy mouth sounds. I like that too. It's a song that's other than the beginning part where it's kind of hard to understand what I'm saying because my voice comes in too quiet. After that though, it's pretty good. I just had a lot of fun with the song. It's fun to listen to, and the effect on the voice helps to make my voice sound better and kind of works with the effect of the song and everything too. So it overall came out pretty well. And still haven't had those drugs, but I say maybe someday, but I mostly have to wait until those things are legal for me to have because I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to bother doing something illegal that I'm also not interested in the first place, really that much. But we'll see what happens. There's probably more important things to worry about than doing drugs. If you're me.
17 armored trains, 17 armored trains, 17 armored trains, 17 armored trains.
17 Armored Trains is another product of. I started making the music for it, and then 17 Armored Trains came into my head, and I couldn't get it out. And so I built the song around it, and so it's basically about having these trains that are very heavily armored, and they have guns on them, and they're just like tearing through on these tracks because they're trying to keep. I don't know, like I guess there's probably movies and stuff that have something like this. Probably ones that I've seen that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but it was just like that kind of concept of like we're beefing up this train and we're gonna have guns and armor on it and we're gonna have to get this over across these tracks. No one's gonna stop us on this train, that kind of thing. It was a little neat the way the one voice goes down, and the other voice goes up on the chorus. And I thought that was kind of neat. I also did the thing that I've done. I do that in some songs. It's almost a bad habit, really, where I'll try to make it so that I get to say like essentially the chorus thing right before the chorus. I set it up so I can do that, which I did here. And this is a little bit off with the timing on like the layering. Which is slightly upsetting, except that it does kind of work well with the way the drums kind of fit into each other, and it kind of makes it sound like it's more like, like the heavy like sound of like a train like chugging along that way. So it kind of works out in that sense of the sound of it. It just wasn't really the intent. The drums were supposed to kind of do that without having the weird, slightly off kilter thing. But that is 17 Armored Trains. Sure to get stuck in your head. Or elsewhere. Try to keep it in the head, folks.
We want to know. We want to know. We want to learn. We want to
grow is very vaguely about wanting to better yourself, about wanting to learn things, gain knowledge, and grow as a person. Um, but there's not a whole lot to it lyrically. Musically, it's even kind of repetitive, but it keeps kind of trying to add things and then change a bit. And it's just kind of redoing the same chant over and over. And the goal with this one for the vocals was to try and have all these different voices, not doing them all in different ways, so that it would sound like a bunch of different people, and maybe like with the effect on it, like that like almost like stadium-ish effect on it. I want it to sound like a bunch of people, like a crowd of people shouting these things. And it didn't quite come off that way. It just sounded like multiple voices of me with an effect on it. Then, and the effect itself was pretty loud afterwards. So I don't know. It didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but it was worth a shot. Interesting enough to be worth that shot, and it's vaguely interesting to listen to as part of the album, if nothing else. They're Coming For Us is, well, generally about, some thing coming for you. I think to me it was kind of like thinking about like either I guess I don't remember specifically when I did it. I thought it was maybe around the time where it's like zombies were getting big too, so I kind of thought of like just this horde of like zombies like moving in towards the town. It's also possible it's just like some group chasing you or something, and you see them coming out of the hills and coming down to the town to get you. So there's a lot of ways you could go with it, but yeah, I can't remember specifically which one I thought of. I'm assuming it was a zombie thing, just because zombies, again, they were huge. You couldn't get away from them, so it was just a thing. And I've always wanted to for a long time, I've wanted to redo this song, and because I know some of the words are really hard to hear with the way the volume of things went. So because sometimes what I would do when I record these, I would also record a thing of just the music, because I know the sound thing, or when I'm talking, that camera would try and pick up okay, here's a voice, we'll make the other stuff quieter so we can hear the voice. And so I did this so it would be a more consistent volume of just the song. I could put the song behind it if I needed to, and that kind of made some of the words get washed out, or some of the vocal parts when they're quieter, and there were less of them. But I can never really quite find the right notes again. I don't know if I'd be able to do it well enough to re-record it really, so I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not. But it's a thought I've had, I've tossed around a lot, and I've tried to find the notes and thought about doing it, but I just never really have done it yet. So, might happen, might not. But it's still a neat song, either way.
I'll teach, you'll learn, your hate will burn, you'll know, you'll earn, belongs to me now.
The Cost of Knowing is about just figuring out this knowledge about life and what it means, and and essentially figuring out there is this life entity that is in control of everyone's lives, and decides who lives and dies, that kind of thing. It's really more about that. It doesn't really delve too much into a psychological or a philosophical thing or whatever, but it's more of a supernatural idea or a spiritual thing or whatever. It's good to say "or whatever" twice, I guess. That's a good, really explanatory, really good details I'm giving. But it's oh yeah, you figure this out, and basically you're being trained as this. I guess it's from the perspective of the entity, and the entity is training someone else to become the new life entity once they're done. That person will replace them, and they're gonna hate doing that. They're gonna hate what it means to do that and the process of it, but they'll end up taking the entity's place. So that was the idea of the song, and honestly, I just one where when I listen to it, I'm I don't know if I like this that much. It reminds me a little bit of I think it's like a theme from Super Smash Bros. There's one where it's like you got rewards for winning or something, and like it kind of plays a loop that sounds somewhat like that. I think from like I don't know if it was from Brawl maybe. I don't remember specifically, but it sounded a bit like it wasn't meant to. It just reminded me a bit of that, and also yeah, I don't know. Whenever I listen to it, I just feel like this isn't that good, and I feel like bad because it just sucks to have like such a to have a dud on the album, I guess. But maybe you'll like it more than I do, and you'll be like, hey, that's not a dud, and you know what? Thank you. It's a very aggressive way to gesture to say that, but that's what makes it a joke, of which I am good at. Lost My Mole is another delightfully goofy song, where I just, get my hand out of I can't see the glow, where it's about, a mole disappearing from someone's face, and, it's like, where would it go? Where could it go? And the person, like, misses it. They miss that part of their face, which is a goofy idea. And I like how the overlapping like vocals, the harmonies that I created, I think were pretty good, even though they're kind of, I was just trying to not specifically create those harmonies, but just to create some kind of good sounding harmonies, and I like the way they came out. And then there's like a lot of like laws and stuff in the background of the things going on just randomly, and I kind of like that too. It's just a neat, fun, kind of happy-ish song. I dig it. And, I don't know. It's neat. Sorry, my fridge is making very concerning sounds. I don't know why. And if it explodes, that'll be cool to get on camera if the camera isn't destroyed. I don't know. That's Lost My Mole. There's also a longer version I did, like an extended one, where basically it was the same kind of thing. It had one less track on it for the music thing. But there was just like a longer, like kind of solo-y thing at the end, and I was doing a lot more like vocal things over it, with goofy things with the vocals happening. But I ended up going with the shorter version because the music part sounded better, and then it was shorter, and it didn't drag on as long as the other one, and I just ended up just keeping this one. Also because this one made it onto this album and wasn't just shoved into something else. So that's where we're landing with that. And I don't think I ever made anything about finding a mole, so just in case you were curious. Fail the Launch is about this new astronaut getting the go ahead to go into space, and they start freaking out. And it's like, shit, I don't want to go into space. I don't know. I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. This is way too much stress and pressure. I'm not prepared for this. And then they end up launching, and then I think at the end it's like, like basically the idea is that they hear from ground control like about coming back, and they're like, shit, I can't land, it's not gonna work, the way it's going right now, I'm gonna crash. I also like the line, I'm gonna fail the land, just because it's like, it's about like landing the ship, and also like this idea that this space expedition is gonna be like a failure for like all of the land that, that country or whatever, when this space shuttle just crashes upon, coming back. So that was kind of neat. The audio tracks didn't line up well on this one, and I think that really hurt this one because, like, I think if it lined up, it would have actually been pretty good. It kind of fucks with some of the flow and the beat of the song, the way it happens here. So that is a bit of a bummer too. But it's still neat. It's a neat bummer, and that's better than a not neat bummer. It's better than a messy bummer. See, I'm quick. My jokes are bad, and I don't get them out in a timely manner that would be good and acceptable for actual comedy. But for this like comedy substitute that is me, it's pretty quick. Freak Out is stylized. The title wise is stylized after Punch Out. It doesn't really have anything to do with Punch Out, the video game, or anything, but I just stylized it that way um, because I wanted to call it Freak Out. And the song is just kind of about these like sort of mundane things that like teens would do that would make their parents, upset with them or yell at them or talk to them and be like, you shouldn't be doing that, and how it's like, and how they're basically overreacting, being like acting like that is their parents freaking out, I guess. Um, and yeah, like again, like I really like the tones here. The guitar that comes in like too loud. I kind of like that, the way that sounds too for like the solo. Um, so the song really jumpy and catchy, and like I don't know, I still really really like this one. It was a great way to end off the album. Also, originally when I was doing it, the idea was there's a line. It's like we're going out for a burger, and I was originally going to have that one be we're going out for a murder, and so that would be the joke. Is like the thing. It's like parents are always freaking out about things. You leave the porch light on, leave a ring on the table, and you go out for a murder. Whatever, they overreact about everything. But then I changed it to burger so it would fit the overall tone of the song better. And I'm still happy with it. And funny enough, that was one of the few things I think I always remember for like interesting tidbits about my songs. So that was one of the main things. Like I wanted to get to like this song for about the album so I could bring up that tidbit that I've had in my head forever. Because I always thought that was really funny. But that's Do You Remember Your Children? And overall, the album is maybe a bit of a bummer in terms of like the way it came out, and I know I could have done it better if I'd known more things back then on how to get those audio tracks closer. But still, I for the most part like it. It definitely has a feel to it. For a lot of it, it has a nice like kind of cohesion with the way all the songs kind of sound and the tones and the kind of not quite right overlapping on stuff. But it's it's something, and you can always check the description. Again, you check that for full playlist, for timestamps and individual song links. And if you have any other questions you want to ask about the album or the songs or whatever, anything, just leave that in the comments. I'd like to answer stuff if people want me to. And thanks a lot for showing up for this episode of About the Album. So I think I'm actually moving this and it's hitting that box down there. That's what's been making that noise this whole time. I think I may have figured that out. Good, at the end of the episode. Great. And now if you'll excuse me, I am going to go eat something because I haven't had supper yet, and I'm a big fat ass. So the artwork for Do You Remember Your Children is once again the picture of me that I've had where I lazily try to take out the background. And it's me with a thought bubble thinking about it. It's like, am I remembering them? And then I try to do a similar looking thing where my name was sort of. And in the remaster, I've only really done a couple of things here, really. I think I maybe like cleaned up some of the lines around I redid some of the lines on the bubbles and stuff, but I try to get the lines closer around me, so I still look like I'm, a bad Photoshop job, but it's at least closer to me. So that's potentially good. And also, I have the border here, because another one that didn't fit when I originally was trying to put it in, it kept cutting off my head or something. So it's like, okay, well, I put the border around it so it's the correct size to fit for like a 1080 image. And yeah, I didn't do an amazing. There's nothing amazing about this artwork or anything. It just was there, but now it's here. So you're welcome.